Ladies and gentlemen, prepare to be enlightened. Sadness sucks. Well, you clap for Luke. It's not really all that impressive that I can tell you that, because everyone in this room has been sad before. It's normal, it's natural, it's expected. If someone was happy all the time, eventually you would run him out of the community in an angry mob. But almost as unnatural as someone that's happy all the time is actually disturbingly common in today's society: depression. Think of it this way. Conventional happiness and sadness is like driving through a series of mountains and valleys. When you're happy, you're at the top of a mountain. When you're sad, you're in a valley. You bought a puppy, and that makes you happy. You watched Casey's TED Talk, and you found out it probably came from a puppy mill. And that is, God, that's so very depressing. But the point is that there's a reason when you're happy, and there's a reason when you're sad. And it's okay to be sad, because you know that you'll be happy again. Now, depression is more like if you crashed your car so it doesn't work anymore, so that you're stuck in the valley and you feel like you're never going to be able to get back out. I know how this feels because I've personally suffered with depression. And when I was diagnosed, my psychiatrist told me that 17% of people, 17% will suffer from depression at some point in their lives. That means that almost 1 in 5 people, 1 in 5, will feel as bad as I did at my lowest point. And I knew that there had to be a way to change that. I knew that it would be almost impossible to just make the problem go away completely, but I also knew that there had to be a way to make it more manageable. And what I've come up with after research is that there are emotional health classes like emotional intelligence, learned optimism, and the ABCD method that if you take them before you're ever depressed, you're less likely to ever become depressed, and if you do become depressed, it's likely to be less severe. And I'll go into that a little bit more and how I think that those treatments should be given to everyone in a moment. But first, I think I'll talk about how depression is treated right now. At the moment, there are 2 main camps for dealing with depression. Now, over here, we have antidepressants. I don't want you to think I'm against antidepressants. I'm on them. They're very important to the mental health of people who are depressed. But the thing is, we think of them the wrong way. We look at them as a cure, and they're not. You take them for 6 months, and you're not going to be cured. After you are on them for 6 months, you're going to go off of them, and then if the conditions are right, you're going to get depressed again. And then you're going to have to go back on the pills, and then you're off the pills, back on the pills, off the pills, back on the pills. And there's nothing wrong with having to go back on antidepressants, but I don't think we should be dependent on pills so that we're happy. That's why most people couple antidepressants with the other camp of treatment, and that is psychotherapy, which I'm also going through. And there are a lot of different ways to go about it: group therapy and some new age weird stuff. I don't know, whatever floats your boat. But the main idea is that you work with a therapist to actually change your thought process so that what you're feeling is appropriate to what's happening in your life. Now, that's the real value of antidepressants, is that when you're taking antidepressants, your brain chemicals are balanced so that you have the optimal response to psychotherapy. Everybody with me so far? All right, moving back to the car crash metaphor. Let's say that depression is like the injuries that you get in a car crash. All right, antidepressants are like the surgery you get right afterwards. They keep things from getting any worse. Stop the bleeding, if you will. Then we have psychotherapy over here, which is kind of like physical therapy, and psychotherapy gets your mind working as it should. the way that physical therapy regains the normal function of your body. What I'm proposing is that we add a seatbelt. And like a seatbelt, it wouldn't make the problem go away completely. People would still get depressed, and people would still get hurt in car crashes. But since we added a seatbelt, people don't get hurt as frequently in car crashes, and when they do get hurt, it's usually less severe. Now, what I mean by a seatbelt is implementing an emotional health class, like emotional intelligence, learned optimism, or the ABCD method, into all schools. Maybe not making it a required class, maybe not every day, but at least 2 or 3 times a week. And there are 2 reasons why I think this is important. One I've already talked about. 1 in 5 people is depressed, and studies have shown that this will make it less likely that they'll have depressive episodes. But equally important is that I think everyone would benefit from understanding their emotions and the emotions of others better. All right. Now, slightly less of a utopian idea here. I'll have to address this at some point, so it might as well be now. One thing people are definitely going to come at me about is money. This is going to be expensive. Implementing a new class in every school in the world, well, I'm allowed to be optimistic. Well, to reduce the need for funding, I said reduce. Do not anybody say I said this was going to be free. You do not get something for nothing. But to reduce the need for funding, I'm proposing that we begin with a volunteer program, similar to one that I'm already a part of called Link Crew. And what Link Crew does is upperclassmen mentors like me take upcoming freshmen and we mentor them. We try and teach them to deal with the new social and academic pressures of high school. And there's essentially no difference between what I'm proposing and Link Crew, except we would focus exclusively on social, mental, and emotional health. A wise man named Thomas More, the contemporary one, not the guy that wrote Utopia, he once said that everybody needs therapy. So let's give everybody therapy. What I want you to remember here is that I am not an expert. And if you decide not to use my particular plan, that's okay. But what needs to be done is some sort of action needs to be taken against depression. What I like about my plan is that it's not solely targeted at depression, because depression is not my only target. Once we really understand how this program would work and the adjustments that we need to make, then we could change it so that it works on any social or emotional disorder or issue. We can use it to fight anxiety, social awkwardness, bullying, social detachment via cell phone addiction. I've seen it, it's bad. I'm not asking you to help me make a vague, better tomorrow. And I apologize to my friends here today offering vague, better tomorrows. What I'm asking you is to help me create a happier future. And I think that happiness is just worth our time. And cupcakes. Thank you so much. It's been an honor to speak up here.